Let's see what is spread operator in ES6. Let us remove this, and suppose we have two array and we want to combine those two array. How we are going to do? Let's see. In the first array there is 3 element, and in the second array there is also 3 element. If we want to combine this two, we used to use concat function in JavaScript. So we used to do like this. To combine, we will use concat function arr1 dot concat, and if we'll see here, it requires another array. Second array is arr2, so we'll pass arr2 and we'll console log combine. Save it. We are getting new array with 6 element in it. What is the issue with this? We can combine two array easily with concat method, but suppose you want to insert one more data in between these two array or at the end or multiple of concatenation, then it becomes very complex. So to get rid of this problem, ES6 has introduced spread operator. So let's see what is spread operator. So we want a new array, so we'll give equals to, then rectangular braces. After that, what we will do, we are going to place 3 dots and then the name of the first array arr1. So what this is doing, this 3 dot is actually extracting the data present in arr1. In arr1, 3 data are present, 1, 2, 3. So it will extract, this 3 dot will extract this data and will place it in this new array. And suppose we want to concatenate second array, we can simply give comma, then we can write 3 dot arr2. So first arr1 data will be copied and then arr2 data will be copied. So now if we'll save it, refresh the browser, we are getting the same output. Now suppose we want to concatenate a new data in between these two array. So what we can do, we can simply give a comma and write that element. Suppose we want to insert 4 in between them, so I will write 4 and then save it. So now we are getting 7 element and 4 is inserted in between. And if we want to insert at the end, we can easily do it by giving comma and that element. So the complexity of the code is reduced if we use spread operator. We have used spread operator for the array. Now let's see with object. Suppose in contact we have two data, one is a name and another is phone. And now what we want to copy this into new object. So we'll remove this and give curly braces. In the curly braces, we have to again give 3 dot and then the name of the object. So the name of the object is contact. So we'll give contact and we'll save it. We are getting these two values, name and the phone. And now suppose we want to insert the third value, and that is email. So we can easily do by giving a comma and then email, and email will correspond to suppose xyz@gmail.com. Now if we'll save it, we are getting the third value email. So we can easily insert the data in an object as well as an array Using the spread operator, we can easily combine two or more objects using spread operator. Now let us see about classes. Before going to the definition of classes, let's see why we need classes. Suppose there is one contact object and we also need another person's contact object. So what we will do, we will copy this and create a new contact object with new name. So actually what we are doing, we are duplicating the same line of code again. And suppose if we need hundreds of object, then what we will do, we will be duplicating it hundred of times. There is easier way to implement the same, that is using classes. So what is class? Class is a blueprint that defines the variable and the methods common to all object. Here we have two data members and that is common to both the object. So using the class, we can achieve the same goal by not duplicating the same code again and again. So let us see how to declare class. So let's comment this, and to declare a class we use the keyword class. Class is a predefined keyword, and after that we have to give the name of the class. The name of the class should start with a capital letter. So we have given the name contact, and C starts with capital letter contact, and after that we have to give curly braces. And the way we created this name and email, the same way we can do over here. The definition of constructor in other programming language was that it is having the same name as the class name, but in JavaScript we use the predefined keyword constructor. So we'll write constructor, then bracket opening closing, and it's like a function. As in other programming language, it is also the same, but instead of writing the class name, we here write the keyword constructor. We need two data members, name and the phone. So what we will do, we'll pass two arguments to this constructor. First one name and the second one is phone. In the last lecture, we have learned about this, that this keyword returns the reference of the current object. So this will currently point to this class, and if we write this dot name, what actually it will do, it will create one data member in this class with the name, and we can initialize it with name. So what is happening here, we will be getting the name, we are initializing that with the data members of that class. So this class initially had no data members, now it will have one data member with the name. Okay, and the second, we need phone. So we'll write this dot phone is equals to phone. That's it. So let's amend this, and to create the object of the class we have to use new operator. So let's see how to create the object of this class. We can create it by writing the object name, then equals to new operator. After that we have to write the name of that class. So the name of the class is contact, and in that contact we have to pass two values. That values are name and the phone, and if we'll look over here, it's giving me a suggestion to pass two value. So what is happening over here, whenever we create an object, it basically calls the constructor of that class. So you can assume the constructor as a function. So actually what we are doing here, we are creating an object and calling this constructor. So to call this constructor we need two arguments. So we have to pass these two arguments, and here we can pass it. Let's copy this. So first argument name is code to serve, and the second argument is the phone, and that we can copy from here, and simply like this. And now if we'll console log this, we'll get an object with two member in it. So we are getting an object, that object is contact. In that contact we are getting two member, one is a name and the phone. So whatever we required earlier, we are able to achieve this using class. Now suppose we need multiple of object with different data, we can simply create a new object and just change the data in it. So this will simply create a new object with new data. So if we'll console log 2, we will get the new object. So here we are getting the new object. Now let us see what is inheritance. Before going to the definition of inheritance, let's see why we need inheritance. Suppose we have one more class, that is phone book. And in this phone book we have one member, and that is type. So let's initialize it in the constructor. So suppose we are getting type, whether it's a home, work or office. So here we will initialize with this dot type is equals to type. Now suppose later we want to modify this contact class and we want that this should also have type in it. So we can simply write this dot type is equals to type in this. So suppose in later we have to add multiple of properties. So what we will do? We will add all those? No. There is easier way to do that. And suppose here it would have been 5 to 10 methods and we required the same method in it. So it would be very difficult to do the same. We want to use this data into this class. So we can easily use it using the help of inheritance. So what is inheritance? Inheriting the property from one class into another class is inheritance. So we can inherit by using the keyword extends. So here if we write extends, and after that we have to write the name of the class which we want to inherit. So we want to inherit phone book. So here we will write phone book. And now we have successfully inherited the property of this into this. Still we need to do one thing. Let's see what we have to do. If I will save it and run, here we see that we are getting one error. And what is that error? Must call super constructor in the derived class before accessing this. So what this is? Here actually what we are doing, we are inheriting this property, but we are not initializing the value of type. That is why we are getting an error. So we have to initialize this type in this class. So how we can do? So there is another predefined keyword that is known as super. So what super will do? Super will initialize the constructor of the parent class. So this is the parent class, this is the child class. So if we'll call super over here, and after that if you will see, it require a type, that is the data which is required in the constructor of the parent class. We have to pass that same data in super keyword. So we will take one more argument, that is type, and we will pass this type into the super of this class. And suppose we give a type home, and let's save it and refresh the browser. So we can see we are getting three properties. One is the name, one is a phone, and another one is a type. So we have easily inherited the property of one class into another class using the keyword extends. And one more important thing, if we'll inherit and in the parent class, if there is any data that is initialized in the constructor, so we have to pass that data in super keyword of the child class. Let us see the last important feature of ES6 that we are going to discuss. So let's see what is modules. Here we have two classes, one is phone book and another is contact. And suppose we need 5 to 10 classes, and if we write all the classes in the same JS file, later it will become very difficult to debug. So modules come into the picture and we can divide these classes into different files, and wherever we need it we can just import them. So let's copy this class phone book and create a new file with phone book, and let's paste that. So by default class is private, so we cannot access the class outside of this file. So what we can do, so there is a keyword known as export. If we write export in front of the class, then it becomes public and we can use it in any of the file that we are having in this project. There are two types of export. One is the named export and another is a default export. If we write the keyword default over here, it will be a default export. And if we don't write the default keyword, it will be a named export. So what is the difference between the named export and the default export? Let's see that. Suppose first I am demonstrating with named export. So here I am removing the keyword default and let's save it. The difference is in the syntax wherever we import these files. So now here we need to import this phone book. Let's import it. Import something from phone book. / means in the same directory that I am working, after that phone book. So if we'll place the cursor over here and hit Ctrl plus space, we'll get one suggestion, and that suggestion is phone book. So for named export, we have to import it with the same name that we have given in that file. So here the name is phone book, so we have to import it with the same name, and we have to place that into curly braces. So for named export, we have to write the same name and that to be written inside curly braces. Now if we'll save this and run the file, we are getting the same output after dividing the code into modules. So now let's see about default export. So if here we will write default. Now if we'll save it, we are getting an error. Phone book is not exported from phone book. Why we are getting this error? If we are exporting it as a default export, then we don't need to write it into a curly braces. If we write, we will get an error. Instead of this, we can write anything, whatever we like. We can write P1, and here we have to change it to P1. That's it. If we'll save it, that error is gone. If we'll refresh, we are getting the same output. So what is the difference? If we are using default export, wherever we import it, we can import it with any name, and for the named export, we have to import it with the same name that we have used in that file. So let us start the next module from next lecture.